The real goal of feedback. Hi, I'm Tim Hagen, founder and creator of the Progress Coaching Training System. And when we work with clients or people at speaking events or what have you, we hear the word feedback all the time. We hear it being used in a very derogatory, demeaning, punitive way, when in fact, feedback is a very opportunistic tool. Then why is it that feedback really takes on this negative connotation? Let me give you an example. Be honest with yourself. Someone in your company is out by the cubicles. The boss comes up to him and says, I need to see you in my office right away. What's the employee's first response? It is 99.9% of the time when I ask that question, it's, uh-oh, what did I do wrong? I must be in trouble. And what we do is we have, as a leadership society, created an expectation. When you are called into our office, I'm going to give you a dose of constructive feedback. So we need to use feedback strategically. We need to use it wisely. We need to use it opportunistically. But the feedback challenges are very obvious. We usually drive feedback or deliver feedback from an element of frustration. We identify what people are doing wrong. Let me give you another example. If you have kids in youth sports, one of the things that came out by the Positive Coaching Alliance is a great study. And they said in their study, when asking kids after their youth sports careers were over, what was the number one thing you disliked about youth sports? Guess what it was? It was the drive home with the parents. Because guess what the parents do? They go into corrective action mode. You played really well, but, and they start to enlist all the things they need to work on. Guess what's the number one thing they heard from kids that they loved about youth sports? When the grandparents came. Why? Because grandparents only say nice things. And it teaches us the psychology of the mind, and that is, we're much more receptive. Let me give you another example. Recently, the Gallup organization just came out with a study that they did that reported that when we leverage and lead and identify people's strengths, they will engage 8 times more than we lead with constructive feedback or the constructive things they need to work on. So the challenges are manifested from an element of frustration, but it's also the wording. I don't know how to provide feedback. And sometimes when we don't know how to do things, we kind of just leave it alone. Then guess what happens? It builds up, the frustration builds up. And then when we deliver it, guess what happens? The person we're giving feedback to focuses more on how the feedback was given than what the feedback was said or given to them or how it was worded to them. So what we always have to remember is, what is the objective? What is our objective of providing feedback in this situation? So I want you to think about this. WIFT, what's in it for them? If you cannot answer that, be honest, this is a reprimand. This is punitive. You need to stop something. And sometimes we need to do those things. But if it is something where somebody is not performing well and you cannot answer the WIFT question, you should not provide feedback. You're not ready. Number 2, the language. We share opportunity, perspective, observation. So let's say we have a salesperson who's underperforming and they're hitting 80% of goal. 1, we need to know why they're hitting 80% of goal. Don't just talk about the numbers, because that doesn't do anything. If we could just talk to people about numbers and have them magically go up, great, that would work. But that doesn't work. If you sit down with somebody and say, Bob, one of the things I wanted to share with you was an opportunity not only to raise our numbers, but I think help you become a little bit more comfortable in closing more deals, and identified some opportunities where we could work together. That is targeted, successful, albeit constructive, but opportunistic feedback. See, the word we, if someone knows it, that someone's in it with them to get better, they'll participate. Share is a very friendly way to deliver it. Opportunity is the WIFT, what's in it for them. And if you base it on an observation or perspective, it's neutral versus, Bob, I'm really frustrated with. Guess what they heard after that? Nothing. Because all they heard is, uh-oh, my boss is frustrated with me. So what I want you to think about is the WIFT question and using the 5 words of the language for providing feedback. Number 3, is it a reprimand or a development opportunity? But for every set of feedback, you should ask yourself that fundamental question. If it is a development opportunity and you understand what the WIFT is and you've practiced the language, you're going to be in awesome shape. Then last, what are the future expectations you're going to bestow upon the person you're providing feedback? So for example, going back to our sales person, I might say, what I'd love to do with you, Bob, is every week, let's practice our closing. Let's practice our closing questions. And I think we're going to create more opportunities. I think it'll give us a better perspective of what we need to do together to continue to improve. That's feedback. So the goal of feedback is never just to give feedback. The goal of feedback is to give it so someone receives it and strategically utilizes it. I hope this has been helpful. Let me know.